Mr. Donald Kano, the company secretary, Mr. Adewale Adebisi, the executive director technical, Mr. Samaila Zubairu, Mr. Raymond Snyders, and Mr. Olaleko Akinyami. In line with COVID-19 protocols, as approved by the state and federal government, the key management staff of the company are all connected from the remote locations. However, the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Oladeji Oluwatola, is available in person to take all your questions as they relate to the finance and audited accounts of the company. I am Mr. Kundan Senani. I also like to welcome the representative of Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mrs. Lillian Dako, the representative of NICOM, Mr. Shegun Adilola, and the representative of Security and Exchange Commission, Mr. Obina, the representative of Ernst & Young Professional Services, our external auditors, Messrs. Aluwasayo Alumaro, and Baba Yomi Ajijola, the registrars of the company, Coronation Limited, and finally, the members of Statutory Audit Committee, the Vice Chairman, Chief Edmund Njoku, Mrs. Esther Augustine, and Chief Robert Igwe. You're welcome. I also like to welcome Chief Sone Nwosu of the Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria, Mr. Alex Adiu, the Chairman, Dynamic Association, Shareholders Association of Nigeria, Mr. Boniface Nwosu, the Chairman of Progressive Shareholders Association, Chief Timothy Adisia, Mr. Norno Awo, Matthew Akinlade, Prince Omojola Anthony, and several distinguished members representing various shareholders across the country. May I also welcome the person of Emeritus Chairman and our key shareholder, Chief Dr. Oladele Fajimirokun. You're welcome, sir. Other shareholders are here represented by proxies in the person of Mr. Lawrence Oguntade, shareholders representative, Mrs. BC Bakare, shareholders representative, Mr. Chibozur Ike, shareholders representative, Mrs. E.O. Obidi, shareholders representative, Mr. Matthew Akinlade, shareholders representative. All other shareholders association leaders are hereby recognized. This meeting is being streamed live. This will enable shareholders and other stakeholders who will not be attending physically to follow the proceedings. The link for this meeting live streaming has since been made available on the company's website, www.aiicoplc.com. I will now call on the company secretary to read the notice of the meeting. Mr. Khanam.
Chairman, good afternoon. Notice of 51st Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 51st Annual General Meeting of AIICO Insurance PLC, the company, will be held on Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 at the Lagos Marriott Hotel, 122 Jewel Ogunnaike Street, Ikeja, Csr, Lagos, at 12 noon to transact the following businesses. Ordinary business, to lay before the meeting the report of the directors, statement of financial position as of December 31st, 2020, together with the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income for the year ended on that date, and the reports of the auditors and the audit committee thereon. 2, to re-elect directors retiring by rotation. 3, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 4, to disclose the remuneration of managers. 5, to elect members of the Statutory Audit Committee. Special business, bonus issues. that in accordance with the recommendation of the directors, the sum of 6,972,433,313 naira from the company's share premium account and 3,486,216,656 naira from the company's retained earnings be and hereby capitalized as bonus shares. And they said 10.4 billion divided into 20.917 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each be appropriated to the members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on the 23rd day of November 2021 in proportion of 12 shares for every 9 shares already held by such members on that date, subject to the approval of the appropriate regulatory authorities, the shares so distributed being treated for all purposes as capital and not income, ranking pari passu with the existing shares issued pursuant to this resolution. That the board be and is hereby authorized to take all necessary steps to give effect to the resolution. There had been explanatory notes attached for purposes of the meeting. There are also notes in line with the compliance with COVID-19 directives and guidelines, notes in connection with proxies, the attendance by proxies, live streaming, closure of register of members, unclaimed dividend warrants, audit committee, biographical details of directors, website, annual reports, and rights of securities holders to ask questions. This notice was signed by order of the board on the 21st day of October 2021.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kano. Am I to read my report or have it taken as read? Donald, if you can just confirm it's not audible. I hope we can consider the report as read and we can move on, yeah? Thank you. I will now ask the representative of our external auditors to read the auditor's report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, all shareholders present. My name is Shahid Lumaru. I'm the engagement partner, and I'll be reading the auditor's opinion. That is on pages 82 to 86. But with your permission this morning, I would request to read the first 2 paragraphs on page 82 and the last paragraph on page 86. Okay, thank you very much. So we have independent auditors report to the members of AIICO Insurance PLC. Report on audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of AIICO Insurance PLC, the company and its subsidiary, together the group, set out on pages 45 to 103, which comprise the consolidated and separate statement of financial position as at 31 December 2020, and the consolidated and separate statements of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, the consolidated and separate statements of changes in equity, and consolidated and separate statements of cash flows for the year then ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and notes to the consolidated and separate financial statement. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statement gives a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of the group and the company as at 31 December 2020, and its consolidated and separate financial performance and consolidated and separate cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and the relevant provision of the Company and Other Matters Act 2020, the Insurance Act 2003, and relevant policy guidelines issued by the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, the Pension Reform Act 2014, the Investment and Securities Act 2007, and in compliance with the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act number 6, 2011. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with the International Standards on Auditing, AIICOs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities to the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group and the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, AIICO Code, and other independent requirements applicable to performing the audit of the group and the company. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the AIICO Code and in accordance with other ethical requirements applicable to performing the audit of the group and the company. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Then we go to page 86, where we have the last paragraph. So we have the report and other legal requirements. In accordance with the requirements of the 5th schedule of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, we confirm that 1, we have obtained all information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of the audit. That 2, in our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the company, by the group and the company, insofar as it appears from our examination of those books. 3, the consolidated and separate statements of financial position and the consolidated and separate statement of profits or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. And 4, in our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statement have been prepared in accordance with the provisions of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, so as to give a true and fair view of the state of affairs and the financial performance of the company and its subsidiary. Contravention. The group incurred penalty in respect of contraventions of the requirements of certain sections of the National Insurance Commission's Operational Guideline 2015 and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act number 6, 2011 during the financial year. The details of the contraventions and penalties are disclosed in Note 40 to the consolidated and separate financial statement. It was signed by me, Oluwaseyi Ilumaru, on behalf of Ernst & Young, and dated 18th March 2021. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I now call on the Chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee, an independent director and director's representative on the committee, Mr. Samaila Zubairu, to read the Audit Committee's report.
Hello. Thank you very much. The report of the Statutory Committee, look at page 39. Report of the Statutory Committee to the members of AIICO Insurance PLC. In accordance with the provisions of Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, with the members of the Audit Committee of AIICO Insurance PLC, having carried out our statutory functions under the Act, hereby report as follows. We have reviewed the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended 31st December 2020 and confirmed that they were adequate. The company's reporting and accounting policies, as well as the internal control systems, conform to legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. And we are satisfied with the responses. Aside from the responses to the external auditor's findings on management matters for the year ended 31st December 2020. Finally, we acknowledge and appreciate the cooperation of management and staff in the conduct of these duties. Signed on behalf of the committee by the chairman. Members of the committee include Mr. Ismaila Zubairu, Mr. Robert Igwe, Esther Funke Augustine, Ademola Adebisi, and Raymond Sanders, and on my humble self, Uzoma Edmond Njoku. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much, Chief Njoku, for reading the Statutory Audit Committee's report on behalf of the Chairman, Mr. Ismaila Zubairu. Agenda 1 of the meeting, which is the report of the auditors and the year 2020 accounts. As the first item of the agenda, I lay before you the report of the directors, the balance sheet as at 31st December 2020, the profit and loss account of the company for the period ended on that day, and the reports thereon of the auditors and the Statutory Audit Committee. I hereby move that the report of the directors and the balance sheet as at 31st December 2020, together with the profit and loss account for the year ended on that day, and the reports thereon of the auditors and the Statutory Audit Committee be and are hereby laid before the shareholders. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Donald, I hope you are taking a note of it.
Mr. Manuel has indicated a support.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions arising out of this motion? To ensure that we answer your questions accurately, please refer to the pages on the report and the accounts to which your questions relate. I would also suggest that members should be brief in their comments and restrict questions to 1 or 2 to afford opportunity to other shareholders representative to contribute. Questions, please.
Mr. Lawrence, please.
Good afternoon, my able chairman, board of directors, regulatory here present, shareholders in the house. I want to say good morning. I'm Comrade Lawrence Ogunnaike, all the way from Ibadan, shareholder representative. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Can you be a little loud? We are not able to hear you.
Okay. It's a pleasure to be here once again. And in spite of crisis, macroeconomic challenges in Nigeria, Naira devaluation, I want to commend the efforts of the management for being proactive at this tense economy. Having gone through the annual reports, basically on financial indices, I could see that the gross premium rating is impressive. Gross premium income as well is impressive. Net premium is impressive. Especially the claims expenses as well is very expensive. If you can look at the Nigerian economy, which is not encouraging, which might have discouraged the board at least not to pay the made the payments on as regard the claims. The management are unable to be unwavering by making sure to rebuild the confidence in which we have in them. we want to say big thanks as regards claims payments. Also, having gone through these annual reports, I could see that the management are making efforts to divest. It was mentioned last year, and I could see the process that is in progress. I want to say that this mayor is going to expand business, and it's going to maximize the shareholders' interest and at the same time sustain employment opportunity. But I noticed that it's still under regulatory approval, but I want to advise the management that by the time the approval sound positive, we should try as much as possible to inject the capital, because the way things is going on in Nigeria now is not encouraging. But let's inject the effective working capital so as to make this divestment productive. And also, I want to commend the board and management. I want to commend them as regard the AIICO, as we are given now the bonus of 12 for 12, 12 for 9, which is here at this tense economy. Instead of diluting the shareholder capital, we are able to at least to put smile on our face. I want to appreciate the management as regard that. And also, I noticed the impact of COVID-19 on our business and how the business has navigated the volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in this environment. I want to sincerely appreciate the management for taking a proactive measure, for taking a sporadic measure to minimize the effect of COVID-19 on our business. I want to say kudos to you. I want to advise the management to be dynamic at this time around, because I could see that because I was reading the newspaper, it's not news any longer, that Nigerian government is planning to remove fuel subsidy, which we believe that it's one of the area, is a major economy area that Nigeria believe in. Now the government are planning to remove this fuel subsidy now, planning to remove by February 20, and that is next year. And I want to tell you that though we are experiencing what we call microeconomic pressure, but I want to tell you that if government should continue in that, to remove that, is going to worsen. Nigeria economy is going to worsen. And I want to encourage the management before that to be dynamic, and because I foresee that there will likely increase and also the increase on the interest rates. There will be likely going to be the increase on the interest rates, and the management should please be dynamic in their approach. And also, I sincerely want to appreciate our MD, executive, that is our able, effective, proactive, efficient, unrelenting MD, that is Mr. Tunde Fajemirokun, for his service delivery and his rich experience, which cannot be overemphasized, and the strategy being applied to minimize the effect of this pandemic on our business. Although there is there's a problem, which I noticed in our annual report, but I could see that the devaluation of currency actually contributes to the loss, But in spite of that, we are able at least to do something wonderful to minimize the effect of COVID-19 on that. Also, I want to go straight to the questions.
Lawrence, please, with due respect, can we be efficient so that other people can?
I want to narrow it down. I want to submit. I have just two questions because I noticed that we are into agribusiness, and but the question is that the agribusiness is very technical area now, and I want to ask that hope due diligence is being taken on that. Also, on the issue of a Nikon recapitalization deadline, which has been suspended, I want to ask that there was a management plan to excel in this in the competitive market for insurance. On last note, to give room for other shareholders to make a contribution, and sorry, yeah. I want to have an update that how far have we gone on the diversification process. On the final note, I want to appreciate the company secretary for being accessible. I want to appreciate you. May you continue to work stronger in ways of understanding. And from our angle, I want to say that we're going to maximize our support for AIICO insurance this time around. I want to say congratulations to the company, AIICO Insurance. Congratulations to the distinguished shareholder. Thank you for this opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. We'll answer all the questions together, so we can go to the next shareholder who has any questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mrs. Bakari Adebisi Oluwayemisi. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, regulatory authorities here present this afternoon, my co-shareholders. Good afternoon. I'm going to be very brief. Firstly, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate and commend the board and management for the opportunity given to me to be part of today's meeting. I really appreciate it. Having said that, I will go straight to the annual report, but I'm going to start my comment from the back page of our annual report, where we have embracing change. Embracing change. This is very nice. I love it. Of course, you are right. We don't have choice. We have to embrace change because change is inevitable. So I really commend the management behind this. This is a very good thought. Having said that, I will go straight to the annual report under the notice of the meeting. That is special business. I commend the board for their initiatives in paying bonus issues on our share premium at 12 for 9 shares and from the retained earnings at 4 for 9 shares. This is also commendable. Page 15. Page 15, where we have consolidated resort group, underwriting loss through profits. I think I need a clarification as to why our underwriting profits loss moved from loss of 7.7 billion to 36.3 billion. Despite that, our gross premium rating and gross premium income increased by 24 and 21% respectively. Page 21. Under this page, I commend our company for the donation of desktop computers to the Federal University of Technology, Akure. This is highly commendable also. Page 15. I notice on this page that we can see the growth in our company shareholders fund in the tune of 33.7 billion, which makes our company capitalization far above minimum regulatory requirements and the best in the sector. This is also highly commendable. I commend the board for that achievement. Page 135, the investment of AIICO pension managers. I want to ask that what is the status of the transaction? We'd like to know. How far have we gone about the transaction? Page 139. Page 139, note 21. Note 21, trade payables. I want the board or the MD to please explain reason for the unallocated premiums that move from 321 million unallocated premiums, move from 321 million to 822 million. I need explanation on this. Page 146, note 34. Page 146, note 34. I think the management need to watch some of the expenses, especially the Nikon Levy, that moved from 368 million to 1.144 billion. I don't know if this is typo error, because I wonder why Nikon level fee. And if you look at the page, you will still see other fees from our regulators. But the one for Nikon levy, 368 million to, in 2019, this year we are talking about 1.144 billion. This is not from directors' money. We are going to cough it from our company. So this is on the high side. I hope our regulators are not killing the business. Shareholders are not getting anything, and Nikon level, we are paying 1.144 billion. I want Nikon to take note of this. Having said that, I will go straight to page 149, unclaimed dividend. I noticed that our unclaimed dividend in 2019 was 737.2 million. But this current year, I also noticed that the figures is static. It's still the same 737.2 million. I don't know how that can be possible. That means during the year, no shareholders comes for their money. So, and I want the registrar and the company secretary to work on this. Lastly, I want to ask that what is the board doing to strengthen the enterprise risk in view of the advent of COVID and its effects, implication on our business? Once again, thank you for the opportunity given to me. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bakari. Next question, please.
Directors of AIICO, regulatory authorities here present, my esteemed colleagues, shareholders, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Matthew Akinlade, President of Noble Shareholders Solidarity Association. I want to start, I want to commend the board and the management for a very good job being done in AIICO. Particularly, I want to praise your hard work to see through to the capital raise that you went through last year, that is the private placement of 5.2 billion and the right issue of 3.5 billion. The only thing that you proposed last year, which could not come through, probably due to regulatory intervention, was the bonus. Somehow, you are offering a better bonus than you proposed last year, which is positive for our business. And I believe it's also going to put the company in very strong position. When I look at the balance sheet of AIICO, I felt relaxed that this company balance sheet is solid. If you look at page 111, shareholders' fund was 33.7 billion, compared with 27.9 billion the previous year. Then in terms of liquidity, cash and cash equivalent, 31.9 billion, compared with 10 billion the previous year. So even your clients, they be so relaxed to do business with you, because there'll be no problem of, they are unable to pay claims. Somehow this year, there was an insurance company, my brokers, I think they put my property owners something in them. And in the paper, I just read that they have problem. And immediately I have to call my broker and say, why did you do this to me? Suppose anything happened in my house. Because they said in that paper they are unable to pay claim. AIICO is far, far, far above that kind of situation. And it gives comfort for us as shareholders and for your clients. And even looking at your balance sheet further, borrowing, which was 2.6 billion last year, has been eliminated, which is, again, another positive side. One thing, again, that I admire so much about what you are doing at AIICO, when I look at page 25, and I look at your CSR, it's very robust. It's very robust. The speaker before me has mentioned your donation to desktop to tertiary institutions. Beyond that, there are a lot of other things that you did, which I consider very good. That you are people oriented and you are supporting the system. With donation of 10,000 reusable face masks to Red Cross, donation of material to new mothers at Ikorodu, support for breast cancer awareness month, and even your action on your employee wellness and well-being is great. It's great. And I want to admonish you to continue, even to do better. Again, I think the board, my personal assessment is that the board is highly dedicated and focused. When I look at page 36 and I look at attendance at board committee meetings, very impressive. 100% in most of the committees, in all the committees, including the audit committee. The audit committee, they had 4 meetings in the course of the year, and they all attended. So that enabled them to contribute their opinion to the well-being of the company. Something I find strange that I will ask that we speak to, on page 37, we stated there that one of our directors, Mr. Adimola Adebise, is the chairman of the audit committee. But going to page 39, Mr. Samaila Subairu sign the report as chairman. So who served as the chairman in the course of the year? It's confusing. Now, things have changed with CAMA 2020. Things have changed with CAMA 2020. Now, the directors that have to be members of the audit committee will be 2, and shareholder 3. So the regime of a director being the chairman of the meeting should be over. And we should please get a shareholder to chairman the audit committee. And this will be to your credit as well, that AIICO hasn't got anything to hide, and that you are giving the audit committee free hand to operate. When I look at page 86 of the annual report, that is the auditor's report. It was signed on March 18. We are now end the last day of November. Why did it take AIICO so long to hold their AGM? Are there specific reasons? I will appreciate if you can speak to it. Because more or less another year is ending next month. On page 149, contraventions and penalty. You have done a great job. I think you are a compliant company. Last year, you pay only $750,000. This year, it has reduced drastically to $250,000. But I look forward to a situation that you will not have any contravention at all. And I will say, let's work towards that. That will enhance the value of our company. The speaker before me have talked about some expenses that are out significantly when compared with last year. So I will not repeat those that have been mentioned. But there are a few other ones that I think have to be included. I look at legal fees, which was 45 million the previous year. We now incurred 137 million. It's more than doubled, about threefold. What's the special issue that we have? Then consulting fee, contract staff, 372 million the previous year, 590 million in the year under review. The jump is huge. We need to speak to it. And then you have other consulting fee too, which was 619 the previous year, now 695. And communications and postages, 386 million, coming to 47 million. All these are out. To cap it, I look at the non-executive directors' emolument. I want to know whether we increase the number of directors. If it's due to the increase in number of directors that the cost went up, I could understand that. We have on page 149, directors' emolument fees, which was 4.3 million the previous year, we have 5.8 million. And other allowances, which was 193 million the previous year, we now have 285 million. So I would like you to speak to all this. But having said this, I want to again appreciate our company secretary he care much about investors' interests, shareholders' interests, and I want to commend you. And you should continue to do so. Keep it up. I appreciate you. I also appreciate the board and management, and I want to say, for you to invite me as a proxy to this meeting is not by right, it's a privilege, and I want to say thank you. Thank you. I wish you the best in the new year.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable comments and contributions. We'll take up one or two more questions in the interest of time, with a request to make it as brief as possible. Thank you. Next question, please.
Mr. Manuel, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, fellow distinguished shareholders, I want to say good afternoon. My comment the previous speakers have touched most of it, so I will not repeat it. Or if in any way I repeat it, is for emphasis' sake. On page 5 shows a very serious and hard-working job that the management and the board and the staff have put in. I appreciate their effort. On bonus, I appreciate you also on bonus 1249. The net premium growth of 21% is also a great job. Page 20 to 25, corporate social responsibility, that is also an awesome job. On board committees, corporate, your meeting, your attendance, page 36 and 37, shows a very serious commitment. Of course, the result we are seeing today. Comment, page 14. Here, we have foreign exchange reserve. We had a very serious loss there, loss of 439. I want to suggest there that we should have an escrow account that we can use to manage our foreign exchange reserve. Page 15, statutory reserve. For 2019, we have 167 billion, 74. While in 2020, we have no figure. I will need an explanation to this. Page 14, trade receivables grew from 196%. I will need an explanation here because we have no premium, no cover, and we are still having such an increase. In chairman's statement, page 18. I want to talk about intention to diversify from the pension business, AIICO pension, in a deal with FCMB pension. We need an explanation to that and what is the progress line to that. I hope we negotiated well in favor of AIICO. I want to talk on the decline in earnings. It declined from, we have a decline of 11.2%. This, we need an explanation what result to that. Of course, in that explanation also, the chairman did say it was a mismatch of asset and liability. So we need more explanation on that. How do we manage fake claims? We want to know. In this, that is very, very important, especially these fake claims. Most insurance companies where also I serve in the audit committee, they have issues with this. I hope it's not also affecting us. I want to sincerely appreciate the members of staff who baked this cake. In line with that, I appreciate the company secretary for reaching out to shareholders. On this note, I want to say a sincere thank you for this opportunity given to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Maybe one more last question, if there's anyone.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Thank you very much. I appreciate my presence here. Kudos to the directors, the company secretary, and I salute my colleagues who are seated here, and those witnessing us online. My name is Prince Dr. Anthony Omoni Omojola, the National Coordinator of Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Much has been said, so as much as possible, I will try to limit my comments and endeavor not to repeat what has been said. I go to page 18. Page 18 under the chairman's statement. I alluded to the positive statement there on page 18, and I want to advise our company to be more proactive by preparing for the emergence of IFRS 17, which is coming up 2023. But before then, there's a new insurance law in the making, which is being baked at the National Assembly. I think we should also keep our ears to the ground so that as one of the older and experienced insurance companies in the land, so that we'll be up to the task when this law becomes operational. Again, excuse me. Again, I also appreciate what has been said about our CRS, corporate social responsibility, especially on page 21, but I will not repeat what the earlier speaker have said.
I go to page 29. On that page, I want to appreciate the ingenuity and ability of the management to see, sustain, and keep our substantial, the major stakeholders or major shareholders of the company over the years. I mean, AIICO Insurance Incorporated and AIICO Bahamas Limited. These two companies have substantial shareholding and they've been on for a long time. And of course, welcome on board the other two substantial shareholders, that is DF Holdings Limited, and of course the latest command Leapfrog in Nigeria Insurance Holding LTD. Kudos to the management for sustaining all these people and being able to manage them. And as you are managing the top ones, I'm sure you are also cognizant of the fact that the minority shareholders should be relevant as always. That takes me to page 38. Page 38, the board evaluation report. Knowing fully well that this is our area, I do not find this board evaluation very comfortable as far as I'm concerned. Maybe because the evaluators has overconfidence in the board and they probably lost what to say. This is not evaluation, because this evaluation should have put, say the pros and cons and encourage the board on how to improve on the areas which they noted are not good enough. And this, when they say this, this is why the shareholders should be more hopeful that the board will perform more. But there's no reference as such. So I don't like that one. Maybe we need to change them, or they should not be too comfortable in making such reports going forward. I look at page 39, the audit report of the Statutory Audit Committee. The note there is that we should make reference to the relevant laws and sections. I'm sure the CS will have noted what I'm saying there. Starting from the first line there, we are still making reference to CAMA 359. That's obsolete. We are now on 404, and so forth. I don't want to overemphasize that. I go to the external auditors report. I'm very grateful that their key audit matter was limited to one. And this one is very, very important, very germane, because the amount involved is huge and complex. And of course, when you talk of the valuation models which are being used over the years, I think this is the time to improve on them, especially using the IT platforms. So their comment is welcome, and I'm sure the board and management will take note of how they've been treated and the kind of advice that we have been given there. Having said this, I want to appreciate the efforts of the board and management to keep our company going. Kudos to the bonus being given and all the other value additions over the year. I wish you continuous progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So I think we have taken the questions from the members, and probably we can provide you some answers and the clarifications on the issues raised by various shareholders. The two questions which were quite like repeatedly, I will ask our MD and CEO to respond. The two most important issues, which is about NICOM capitalization and also AIICO pension. These are the two areas probably MD can give some updates to the shareholders. And the questions related to accounts and audits, I will ask our CFO to take it up. Yeah. So Tunde.
Okay. Good afternoon, shareholders. Good afternoon, Chairman. Again, my apologies for not being there physically. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Lawrence, Mrs. Bakare, Mr. Akinlade, and of course, Mr. Ikeja and Prince Anthony for their comments. On the two areas that the chairman asked me to address, on the Nikon capitalization, currently, AIICO has obviously, after this, if the shareholders approve the bonus shares, then in line with the plan of capitalization, AIICO would be in line with the Insurance Act. Nikon has not come back to underwriters to confirm when this would be implemented. So we have no timelines on when that will be implemented, but we will be prepared for the time it will be implemented. The second one on the AIICO PFA transaction, based on the structure that was approved by the regulator, the applicable regulator, PENCOM, which broke the transactions into two phases. We're pleased to tell the shareholders that we have concluded the first phase of the transaction, and you would observe from our unaudited accounts published at month 9 that we have booked the gains from that transaction in the accounts. The second phase of that transaction should close before the end of the year, or worst case, first quarter 2022. I believe those are the two questions that I needed to address. The CFO should be able to provide context on the questions on underwriting profit, trade receivables, Nikon Levy, and various other aspects of the accounts. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, shareholders.
Thank you, Tunde. CFO.
Thank you. I want to thank the shareholders for your questions, and it shows that you really went through the account and you have interest in this company. And so we are going to take your questions as much as possible. My MD has answered the question on the AIICO pension sale. There's a question on agribusiness that is technical. Hope we did due diligence. Yes, we did. And it's also part of AIICO's contribution to growth of... On the question on agric, yes, we did our due diligence, and it's part of AIICO pensions contributions to the growth of agribusiness in Nigeria. And this is also done in conjunction with the CBN and some other agencies. He said, what's our plan to excel in the after 18 billion capital? Yeah, we have great plans. You'll be seeing more of that as the year goes on. And this bonus is for us to get there so that we can also be better positioned to play in that field. Now, the question on underwriting loss, why did it increase? And let me take that with the question on mismatch of asset and liabilities. So AIICO essentially has both life and non-life arm. And what we do in the life arm is whenever we get the fund, we use it to try to buy some assets that will be for as long as the liabilities will be. Some, we expect our customers to live long. So if you look at the asset that we have in Nigeria, the longest asset we have is like bonds, 2049 bonds. If you take 2049 from 2020, that's about 29 years. And here we expect our customers to live longer than that. So there's those are part of why you see mismatches in the asset and liabilities. And so when the yield move, most of the funds were put in FGM bonds so that we will not incur losses in terms of impairment. So there's no impairment loss. Also, it's tax-free, so the gain on it is also tax-free. This is to ensure that the shareholders get the benefit of all those assets that we buy.
But you know, bonds move in value. So if the yield this year is 10%, by next year if it's 11%, that means it has gone up. Then it means that any asset you bought at 10% this year, by next year will be at a loss. And the liability too that is matching it will go down. And because we said there's a mismatch because of the longevity and co, so that difference between the asset and liabilities may be a positive or negative for us. So last year, what happened last year was that we started with the yield of about 15% beginning of the year. By end of year was about 7 to 8%. So it went down significantly. Therefore, the assets that we bought at beginning of the year, they increased significantly in value. Because they increased in value, the liabilities also increased significantly in value. Now, because of the standard that says our liability, that's what you call transfer to life fund and all those ones, they are part of underwriting results. But the asset that you bought with it is part of investment results. So if you look at the account, you will see that there's a huge jump in underwriting losses because the liability has increased significantly. But you also see that there's a huge jump in investment income. That's why the net was, because our job is to ensure that the net was in your favor, and we were able to do that, and we're able to close with a profit. So that addresses the questions on underwriting losses, and also why we had mismatches. Now, I'll try to rush on the others, because I saw there were a lot of questions. How do we manage fake claims? We continue to do our best on that. It's a general industry issue all over the world. We are aware of the new insurance law, and we are also involved through the NIA to also check that we were well placed when the law comes into effect. The questions on Nikon Levy, thank you. So on the Nikon Levy, we essentially what you saw in the 2020 account is for 2 years. And what happened was this. Before 2020, Nikon Levy, whenever it's time to pay, when we get to Nikon, we do a reconciliation, then we all agree the rate to use as an industry. But in 2020, there was a clarification that it has to be 1% flat. So because we used to go there and agree, what we used to do was 2020 Nikon Levy will have been paid in 2021, and it will recognize in 2021 expense. So 2019 Nikon Levy will be paid in 2020 and be recognized in 2020 expense, because we used to go to discuss. But since it was clarified in the year 2020 that it's just 1%, so what we did in the year 2020 was, since there's clarity, it's no longer like a provision. It's clear you are going to pay. So the expense for 2020 was recognized in 2020. That's 1% of our GWP. The expense for 2019 too, which we said will be paid in 2020, was also recognized in 2020. So if you look at GWP in 2019 and 2020, if you add them together, you get about 110 billion. Do 1% of that. That's what you have as Nikon Levy in the 2020 account. Whereas in the 2019, it's not exactly like 1%. So that's why you see that difference. It's not like Nikon charges more. They are a regulator that we work with and we discuss with. And also in migrating to the new IFRS standard, we are also working together with them. Yeah, thank you. So on the trade payables, what you have there is unallocated premium. Now, you don't, when you get overpayment of premium and you are still doing reconciliation, you put the difference in unallocated premium. When you get premium, but you don't have full details, you cannot recognize the amount in your income, you put it in unallocated premium. So what you have there was that we had more of that issue in 2020. More of premium collected, but we didn't have enough details, and more premium collected, but that we were expecting that we will reconcile before we can recognize. You know, there was COVID, so we had to be working online. And so that's why you saw an increase. There was also the question on increase in trade receivables. yes, we have no premium, no cover. But we also allowed that for broker businesses, you can recognize the premium in your income, and then you recognize a receivable, which you have to collect within 30 days. So what you saw in the 2020 account, we have collected them in January. And if you don't collect it, the auditors will not allow you to put it in the books. The regulator will not sign off. So all those amounts were collected in January 2021. So therefore, it's just a timing difference. So I think I've substantially taken the questions. I want to thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, CFO Mr. Deji. There was one or two questions related to company secretary. Probably I will ask Mr. Kano to answer that why the accounts were signed in March 2021 and why it took so long to conduct the AGM. And also the mention of on page number 37 about the audit committee chairman as Ademola DBC. If you can just give some clarification, Mr. Kano.
Chair, I was trying to just clarify 2-3 other points that I think remains very critical for us as a company. It has to do with corporate governance. One, Samuel Zubairu is the chairman of the audit committee as at the period under review. The error in putting Mr. Debishe's name is regretted. Samaila is actually an independent director. That's one. There was a question around delayed AGM, given when our audits, our accounts were approved. We want to say that part of the reason had to do with the approval we needed to get from SEC for purpose of the bonus issue. And if we didn't get that approval, there's no how we're going to have a meeting which will then not have the approval that we have presented before you, or we are going to present before you this afternoon. So essentially, although we had gotten ready, we could actually have had an AGM, but then this would have remained a sore finger, and then we would never get it concluded. That is basically why we had to wait. We got a firm position from SEC sometime in July, and from then we had to fast track to have this AGM. Finally, the other point has to do with board evaluation. And I dare say SIAO is not a rookie consultant. They are recognized. Essentially, they wouldn't come and say things that are not happening in the company. We do not, we try as much as possible to do what we have to do as a board. So essentially, they highlighted a few areas that we needed to work on, and those areas we had continued to work on them on an ongoing basis. So when it is very infinitesimal, that's not an issue that they want to bring forward. Basically, they had to do with a lot of board trainings, induction. That's basically it. And we've actually addressed those issues on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kano. I'll just touch base one subject, which is CSR activities. And I would like to give the credit on the CSR activities to actually the shareholders in this forum. 3 years back, actually we were reminded by the shareholders in the same forum that the management and the board is not doing enough. Since then, we have taken up a lot of CSR activities based on your suggestion and recommendations. So the point I also wanted to make here is, we as the board and the management take your suggestions and recommendations very seriously, and we value your comments. So thank you very much. So I think with this note, I think we have answered most of the questions raised by you. But if there's any other questions, you are free to send those questions by email to the company secretary, and it will be answered in good time appropriately. Thank you very much. I now put the question in item number 1 to the meeting. Yes, anything?
Mr. Chairman and fellow shareholders, I'd like
Yes,
to personally congratulate the board and thank my fellow shareholders for their contribution in this meeting. But most importantly, I want us to notice one thing. I've been fighting, and Chief Nwosu, Ademola, and all these people, they know my stand on this. What is the value of the regulator for charging a flat 1% on revenue, on premium of people? It's something we've got to question and fight together. Whether it is an edict or not, we need to find a way to get it done. That's just my simple comment on it. It's annoying why you don't add value and you are getting 1% of people.
sir. Okay, I think I now put the motion in item number 1 to the meeting that the report of the directors and the balance sheet as at 31st December 2020, together with profit and loss account for the year ended on that day, and the reports thereon of the auditors and the statutory audit committee be and are hereby laid. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Donald, I hope you are taken.
We move to item number 2.
Those who are in favor of this motion, please signify by raising up your admission. Sorry, I think there is some. Is any comment? Okay, Donald, I hope you have taken a note of the person who has seconded the motion.
Move to point number 2, sir.
Okay. So agenda 2, which is election and re-election of the directors. The next item of the agenda is the election and the retirement of the directors by rotation and re-election in accordance with the articles of association of the company. Messrs. Ademola Adebisi and Samaila Zubairu are directors retiring by rotation under Article 94 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act and Section 259 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004. Being eligible, having indicated their willingness to stay in office, they also present themselves for re-election. To save time, and if you all agree, I'll propose election by a single motion for re-election. Okay. Thank you. I hereby move that the retiring directors, Mr. Ademola Adebisi and Mr. Samaila Zubairu, be and are hereby re-elected directors of your company. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Those who are in favor of this motion, please signify by raising up your admission cards in your right hand.
Mr. Chairman, you are too fast. That resolution should be one by one. So let's take it one by one. I second the motion. My name is, for the first one, my name is Mrs. CEO Obide. I think you are hearing us clearly now.
Yes, yes. Okay, Mr. Kano, take a note of it, the name of the person seconding the motion. Those who are in favor of this motion, please signify by raising up your admission card in your right hand. Those who are against this motion, please signify by raising up your admission card in your right hand. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried.
Mr. Chairman, please, you have to present the second director. That is Mr.
Yes.
Samaila Zubairu.
Yes, please. Yes, yes. Yes, sure. So I hereby move that the retiring director, Mr. Samaila Zubairu, be and hereby re-elected as a director of your company.
You see,
Would someone please rise
point
and
of
second the-
order. I think this being a proxy meeting, the registrar would have collected the results from the proxies. And when these resolutions are moved and seconded, they will now come and read the results. And then from there, we can declare it carried or otherwise. Thank you.
This is very okay. I am aware, through the chair, I am aware that the registrars have a total number in terms of votes, in terms of for and against, and I would invite them to come and make that presentation for both directors, actually.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everybody. Having gotten requisite approvals to hold this meeting by proxy, we have captured the total number of 441 shareholders holding 11,222,808,792 shares of shareholders via proxy. We will now take the voting of people present here. Thank you.
The chairman, should I proceed?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Okay, so at the point where we are, through the chair, those who are in favor of this motion, please signify by raising your admission cards in your right hands. And those who are against this motion, please signify by raising your admission cards in your right hands. Through the chair, this motion is hereby declared as duly carried. The second director who is also due for re-election is Mr. Samaila Zubairu. Based on director retirements by rotation, we can see his pictures put up there. I would also, through the chairman, I'd like to invite the registrars to give us a confirmation in terms of the vote count based on what was received.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So following the results that we had received via proxies, we request that we display. And here we have, again, for the 441 shareholders who had submitted their proxy forms, we recorded a number of 11,222,224,808,792 shares. And then we will take the votes of the people present here. Thank you.
Once again, through the chair, may I request those who are in favor of this motion should please signify by raising the admission cards in their right hands. Thank you very much. And those who are against this motion, please signify by raising your admission cards in your right hands. Through the chair, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Thank you, registrars. Chairman, could you please proceed with agenda number 3?
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
AIICO Insurance PLC had earlier announced the resignation of Executive Director, Mr. Olusola Ajayi, from the board of the company effective February 4th, 2022. Mr. Ajayi was, until the resignation, the Executive Director in charge of the retail business. The board and the management of the company commends Mr. Ajayi for his leadership qualities and contributions made to the growth of the company during his stay in the company. And on the board behalf, we wish him well in all his future endeavors. Agenda 3, to appoint auditors and fix their remuneration. The next item of the agenda is to appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of auditors. The audit firm Ernst & Young Professional Services, the external auditors of the company, have performed their duties credibly for the outgoing years. In accordance with Section 400 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Messrs. Ernst & Young have indicated their willingness to continue in office as external auditors of the company. It is, however, required that their remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I therefore move that the firm of Ernst & Young be and are hereby reappointed as the auditors, and that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditors who have indicated their willingness to continue in office as auditors of the company until the end of the financial year. Would someone rise and second the motion?
I, Comrade Lawrence Ogunnaike, hereby second the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? Thank you very much. I now put the motion to the meeting. Would those who are in favor of this motion please signify by raising up your admission card in your right hands?
Thank you. We have the results received from the proxies also projected. 441 shareholders holding 11,224,808,792 shares who have all voted in favor, in addition to everybody physically present here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would those objecting to the motion please signify by raising up your admission cards in your right hands? Thank you. I hereby declare duly carried. The next item of the agenda is to disclose the remuneration of managers. The cumulative effect of Section 257 of CAMA 2020 and Section 238 of CAMA 2020 demands that the issue of the remuneration of managers of the company must be disclosed to the members of the company at the AGM, and that such disclosure is categorized as the key business to be transacted at the AGM, which can be deemed as an ordinary business of the company's meeting. Your company has clearly categorized on page number 148, clause C and D of the annual report and accounts, the key management personnel's compensation and directors' remuneration for the year ended December 2020. For ease of clarity, the senior executives' compensation is categorized into fixed pay, short-term incentives, long-term incentives, and retirement benefits. The short-term and long-term incentives align with the organization's incentive scheme and are derived from the annual bonus that accrues to staff in a reporting year. The annual bonus crystallizes based on the following overriding conditions, which is profit before tax, positive retained earnings, and return on equity. The long-term incentives component was started in 2019, constitute 30% of the eligible employees' annual bonus and vests after 3 years, according to the organization's deferred bonus scheme. This long-term component altogether converted to phantom share units. Using book value per share is settled in cash. Details are as contained in the pages earlier highlighted in your annual report and accounts. I therefore move that the remuneration of the managers be and hereby disclosed to the shareholders.
Noted.
The chairman, this is basically to be noted. So I would urge that we move to the next agenda item.
Okay, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Yeah. The next agenda, the next item of the agenda is the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee. In line with Section 404(2) of the Companies and Allied Matter Act 2020, the board has elected 2 of its members to represent it on the Audit Committee. They are Mrs. Samaila Zubairu and Mr. Raymond Snyders. As for the shareholders' representative on the committee, the company secretary reported that 6 nominations had been received by him from the members in accordance with Section 404(6) of the Companies and Allied Matter Acts 2020. All of the 6 nominations were confirmed valid. I now invite the company secretary to go through those names.
Thank you, Chairman. Through the chair, may I request that the registrars and the auditors please go through the process. But before we do, I'd like to confirm that Mr. Adebayo Abayomi, subsequent to this meeting, has sent in a withdrawal letter. So we basically have 5 candidates.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following represents a list of valid nominations received within the statutory period prescribed by the Companies Act. We have Mr. Elama Oseni. We have Mr. Adebayo Oluwafemi, who we understand has dropped his letter to, get out of the vote. We have Chief Igwe Roberts. We have Chief Njoku Edmond Uzoma. We have Mr. Jibuno Godfrey Uche, and we have Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine. Because we have 5 people here, and 2 people on the board are required, and 3 people from the shareholders, I do not believe will require a vote. So right now we have Mr. Elema Oseni. Okay, so I'll call on the names and request that we raise our hands when we call their names. Okay, so can we have Mr. Elama Oseni stand up if he's here? Can you move forward, sir? Can we have Chief Igwe Roberts move forward if he's here? Chief Njoku Edmond, Mr. Jibuno Godfrey Uche, and Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine. Can we have you all in front? Thank you. Mr. Jibuno is not here. Okay, so I'll call on the names and then we'll do show of hands. Yes. Thank you. All those in favor of Mr. Elama Oseni, can you please raise your hands? Mr. Elama Oseni. Okay. All those in favor of Chief Igwe Roberts, can we have... Thank you. All those in favor of Chief Njoku Edmond Uzoma, can you please raise your hands? Thank you. All those in favor of Mr. Jibuno Godfrey Uche, can you please raise your hands? And all those in favor of Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine. Thank you. We'll wait for the results to be declared.
Arcade. Since God created day and night, sky, land.
The registrars will come up with the results, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologies, all of them are shareholders representative. And we have Mr. Elama Oseni having 1 vote. We have Chief Igwe Roberts having 11 votes. We have Chief Njoku Edmond Uzoma having 11 votes. We have Mr. Jibuno Godfrey Uche having a nil vote. And then we have Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine having 11 votes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please proceed.
We have all witnessed the election of the members of the Audit Committee. In line with the results as produced by the registrars, I therefore declare that the following shareholders and directors have been duly elected members of AIICO's Statutory Audit Committee until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting in accordance with the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matter Acts, which are Mrs. Esther Funke Augustine, Chief Robert Igwe, Chief Njoku Edmund Uzoma, Mr. Samaila Zubairu, and Mr. Raymond Snyders. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the ordinary business to be considered at this meeting. May we now proceed to deliberate on the special business of the day. So we have one item on the special business, which is a declaration of the bonus share. At the last annual general meeting of AIICO Insurance PLC, held on the 8th of December 2020, the shareholders of the company approved the issuance of total bonus shares of 5,098,591,860 as itemized below. One new share for every 8 shares held payable from the retained earnings, and one new share for every 5 shares held payable from the share premium. The final qualification date for the bonus issue was 29th of December 2020. After the approval of the shareholders, the company applied to Securities and Exchange Commission to register the bonus shares. Unfortunately, SEC declined to approve the bonus shares, citing various announcements and changes in the qualification dates, among other reasons. This decision was company on the 8th of July 2021. The Securities and Exchange Commission decision to decline the company's application for registration of the bonus shares means that the total bonus shares declared above cannot be issued to the shareholders, even though they were declared at the company's 8th December 2020 AGM. In other words, the company's share capital remains as it was as at 31st December 2020 without the bonus share. Presently, the company is in this AGM proposing the declaration of 12 new ordinary shares of 50 kobo each for every 9 shares in issue held as at 23rd November 2021, amounting to a total of 20,917,299,938 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each, payable as follows. 8 new ordinary shares of 50 kobo each for every 9 shares in issue payable from the share premium account, and 4 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each for every 9 shares in issue payable from the retained earning accounts. I therefore move that the shareholders approve that in accordance with the recommendation of the directors, a sum of Naira 6,972,433,313 from the company's share premium account and Naira 3,486,216,656 from the company's retained earning accounts be and hereby capitalized as bonus shares, and the said Naira 10,458,649,969 divided into 20,917,299,938 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each be appropriated to the members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of the business on the 23rd November 2021. In the proportion of 12 shares for every 9 shares already held by each member on that day, subject to the approval of the appropriate regulatory authorities. The shares so distributed being treated for all purposes as capital and not income, ranking pari passu with the existing shares issued pursuant to this resolution. That the board be and is hereby authorized to take all necessary steps to give effect to this resolution. Would someone rise and second the motion, please?
He said I should move whichever way. Adio A. Alex is the name. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? No questions. I now put the motion to the meeting. Would those who are in favor of the motion please signify by raising up your admission card in your right hand? Thank you. Would those objecting to the motion please signify by raising up your admission card in your right hand?
We would also be displaying the results from the proxy votes received, and we have 441 shareholders holding 11,224,808,792 shares, representing 100%, in addition to the votes we have received by the physical shareholders here. Thank you.
Thank you. Would those objecting to the motion please signify by raising up your admission cards in your right hand? Thank you very much. I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. Ladies and gentlemen, we have dealt with all the formal businesses of this meeting. I would like to thank you again on behalf of the board for attending and showing so much of interest in the affairs of the company. In a few weeks from today, the Christmas period will be there. It will bring a period of love, caring, and sharing. We encourage all our shareholders to have a wonderful celebration, again within the ambit of safety in view of both the security situation in the country and also COVID pandemic, which is still present with us in its most recent variant. Before I declare the meeting closed, may I request Chief Emeritus and our key shareholder, Chief Dr. Oladele Fajimirokun, to say a few words to the co-shareholders, the board members, and the management, please.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, fellow shareholders. I'm ever so glad to be with you in this company, which fortuitously I got into unknowingly, knowing that I'm going to meet such a wonderful shareholders. And it has had its problem. Well, we have always overcome the problem together without any hue or cry. I thank you all, and Mr. Chairman and the board, the management, and most importantly, my fellow shareholders that have been coming with me all these pages. Please love us and say wow again. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, I hereby declare the meeting closed. Wishing you all safe return journey to your respective destinations. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.